Hey guys, Dr. Vuckovich here with Victory Chiropractic, and I've been putting out a lot of videos there with athletes and sports, but a lot of things that we do in the office is dealing with kids. Alright, so as you guys know, I have a 4-month-old son who just turned 4 months old yesterday, and I've been seeing all of his milestones starting to develop, and I wanted to go over those because I actually seen a few posts on Facebook looking for certain toys for their young kids and certain ones that are actually not advantageous for the development. So I want to go through over some of the developmental milestones and when they should be experiencing them, and then certain things that you're going to not do to make sure that you're not going to hinder some of their development. So one of the most important things you can do with your newborn when you're home is start to work on tummy time. All right, so some newborn parents may think it's a little crazy that you're doing tummy time right away, but that tummy time is there to help develop the curves in your body. All right, so there's certain curves in the neck, mid-back, and lower back that are ideal. All right, so that lordotic curve in the neck and lower back are actually not there when the baby is born. So what you're doing by doing tummy time is you're helping develop those curves, strengthen the muscles to help support the neck and lower back. So as they're developing, they're able to stand and go through the developmental milestones that are going to be coming soon. All right, so once you start getting more comfortable in tummy time. In the beginning, they're just laying their face down and they look really uncomfortable. Some would cry, but a few minutes in the beginning per day will eventually get easier and easier, and they will do it for prolonged periods of time. So by 3 months, they should be able to kind of lift their head up to get their shoulders and head off of the floor, okay? As that progresses around 4 months, they'll actually be able to roll from their stomach onto their back. Okay, and by 5 months, they should be able to roll from their back onto their stomach, rolling both ways. All right, around 4 months though, babies tend to really like being sitting upright. You see when they're holding them, they're seeing what's going on, and when you're laying them down, they seem to be a little angry. They want to be sitting up to see everything. All right, so some people have developed different things to help prop up your children. All right, those bumbo seats and all the chairs that prop up the kids around 3-4 months old are absolutely horrible for the development of your child's spine. All right, so that bumbo seat actually puts the lower back into extension. All right, I know you want them to be able to sit up and you want them to rush and be able to do things sooner, but your child will sit when they are ready to. And honestly, that's not actually supposed to be till closer to 6 months. So hold tight. I know around 4 months you get antsy and you want them to be doing more, but they'll get there. So now that your child's being able to sit up properly on their own without support, you can put them in the high chair, life's getting a little easier. All right, then you start around 7-8 months, they start to crawl. Okay, now crawling is a super important thing in really helping develop that lower back curve and that neck support. When they're in that position, they're really developing that curve, creating that lower back lordosis right here, as well as the curve of the neck. So another thing it's really good for is brain development. That cross motion between the legs and the arms is actually firing both sides of the brain, really helping them with that brain development. So when I see kids who are 7 months old trying to pull themselves up and walk, you got to push them down. You don't want to promote that, all right? You really want them to be crawling as long as possible. That's leading to smarter children, more coordinated, athletic kids as they grow, because they're really developing that body and that mind to be really coordinated, okay? Now once you get past the crawling, they start pulling themselves up around 7-8 months. And when they do that, you really think, oh man, my kid's gonna start walking soon, all right? But they're not. They shouldn't be walking until close to that 11-12 month mark. So we start getting antsy and we start bringing out other props to help them get moving quicker. We have the bouncy seats and then as well as the walker, okay? Now the walker is something that really helps confine your child. You're able to get more done. It's easy to use, but it's also putting improper mechanics into their pelvis. So when they're in the walker, it's actually shifting the weight forward and their hips are being driven forward like so, and they're actually, see when you're in this position, the way that I'm on my toes. So when they start pushing off, they're getting used to being on their toes, which leads to toe walking once they are mobile. So you see kids all the time walk on their toes. I had a patient just last week say, so I have a 4-year-old, they walk on their toes, and the first thing I asked is, were they in a walker? And most of the time, they are. Okay, so that's really just shifting the mechanics of the lower back and pelvis, And then when they start to learn the motor pattern for walking, they are loading their toes first. All right, so that's something that you want to do away with. They are the walkers that you kind of hold on to and push. That is better. You're still loading the spine fully, and they're actually developing the proper motor pattern, where in the walker that they're not. So between that 9 to 12 month mark, that's when they're standing up, being able to pull themselves up momentarily, getting more comfortable with their balance. And then 10, 11 months, they're really gonna start cruising. All right, they're cruising the furniture, going from couch to coffee table, maybe a step on their own here and there. But again, between that 11 and 12 month mark is really when you want them to be aging, gearing towards the walking on their own, okay? So anything before then, you really don't want to promote. You really want to make sure that they're developing the proper curves in their back, that they're following the proper developmental change. And some people are going to be better at motor skills sooner, so there is a range. So it isn't just 7 months they have to be doing this. You know, it's give or take a little bit. So if your child isn't doing a certain skill by a certain point, that's okay. Okay, it will come. But again, these are things that I'm seeing in the office, and I want to make sure that you guys out there are aware and not making mistakes in terms of just not knowing better. So I'm just putting this information out there. Make sure you're staying away from some of those props, the walkers, and really make sure you're focusing on the tummy time, really focus on crawling for an extended period of time for brain development, as well as lower back, neck development, and make sure that you're doing the most you can to make sure your kids are living an optimal life. All right, so again, make sure you subscribe to our channel. I hope you like the video, and there'll be more content coming out soon.